And welcome back to my next video. We're doing a couple of videos now on heat. With winter coming on, cold's going to become an issue for most of us. And today we're going to meet Joe. Say hi, Joe.
Hi, Joe.
And Joe has a YouTube channel of his own.
I do.
And what is it?
It's Rocking Bee RV.
So go and check out. Be sure to check out his YouTube channel. And you are in an RV.
I am. Class C, 29 foot, 1996, Winnebago.
There you go. There's all the stats. And so that's so a lot of you are in RVs, and a 29 footer, that's a fairly good sized RV. So we want to talk about heat in an RV. We have another video out for heat for cars and vans, but we do want to specifically talk about heat for RVs. Now, of course, your RV came with a furnace, a standard furnace.
Yep.
And do you use it?
Hardly ever. The only time I think I used it was last year when I was in an RV park. And when I went to work, I trusted that more than any of my other appliances that I could use to heat the fan. So I'd turn that on when I was gone, but turn it off as soon as I got back. And then I'd use this.
And this is a... What is this?
This is an Olympian Wave 8. It's a... Well, let me pull this up.
Yeah.
It basically radiates heat. It's a catalytic heater. And there is no flame, and it pushes out very little carbon monoxide, if any, if it's burning correctly. So it's really efficient. It's safe, and I've loved it. I mean, it takes care of my needs. It's probably too big, but it's the one I could find that, you know, I found it on KSL, and it was half price, and I couldn't pass it up.
Not half price. Well, so I guess the question that probably a lot of people have is, you have a perfectly good RV furnace, why aren't you using it?
It's just not efficient. It burns a lot of propane. If you're boondocking, you can't use it hardly at all because the fan is constantly running and burning up your batteries. So this doesn't push any heat, it just radiates heat, and then things around it warm up, and then they push the heat back. So it almost feels like you're, if you have a fireplace or something, and you know how it starts to radiate heat around it, and it's not just coming from the fire. It's really pleasant, a pleasant heat. And that thing's loud, it smells.
Yeah, so to my mind, I'm not a fan of RV furnaces. In fact, it's one of the first things that would go, or I would just stop using. For all the reasons Joe just said. They burn a lot of electricity, they burn a lot of propane, they're very noisy, and they can be smelly. And so all those things are such knocks against the RV furnace. And you just decided to go with an Olympian.
Yeah, I mean, I did my research, and these are probably one of the best products out there for this type of heat, for what I wanted to do. I mean, I boondock, I don't hook in a lot. In fact, very little. So I wanted something that I didn't have to use electricity, and that I could run off my propane system from the RV.
So you just tapped right in. You're running off of the standard propane system that came with your RV.
Correct, yeah.
Although you could have an external bottle, and I do know people that do that.
Yeah.
Just to have an extra, but you can do it either way. It's your choice.
Yeah.
And now these are fairly expensive. That's the one knock against them.
They are, but I think in the long run, the amount they burn less propane than the Mr. Buddies and some of those, like
yes.
half or less.
Right.
They last longer. I know lots of people, like you said, that the Mr. Buddies just give out. They won't turn on, or the handle comes off, or they're just not built very well. These last practically forever.
Mm-hmm.
And they're safer. If it falls over, it turns off. There is no flame to speak of. Initially, there is some flame as it burns off some stuff that's gathered inside of it, but after that, it's a pretty safe system. I mean, and everybody I've talked to or read about said, yeah, this is the most comfortable and safe system you can use.
Now, this is the Wave 8, and what does that mean, Wave 8?
Well, there's 3 sizes, apparently. And this is probably too big for this RV. This may be better for a huge motorhome, but it's the one I could find, so that's the one I got. But there's a Wave 6 and a Wave 3. And they range in size from, here to here. And I've never turned this one on above low because it puts off enough heat that it radiates and heats everything up. And then I can turn it. So I have this hose next to you. So when I am sitting here or watching TV or working or whatever, I can move this guy back over to where the camera is. And it heats up this half of the RV. When I'm sleeping, I just turn it around and I can radiate it back the other way. So I don't have to try to heat the whole thing all at one time, which works out really well. And I like the fact that I can move it. I store it over here and get everything out of the way, and it just works out really well.
So essentially it becomes area heating. You heat where you are, and when you move, you heat where you've moved to.
Correct, yeah.
And that saves a lot of money versus a propane furnace that came with the RV that heats the whole rig every single time.
Yep.
So that's one of the reasons they're more efficient and will cost less to run in the long run.
Yeah, I think.
So and no electric. It draws no electric. It's quiet.
No electricity.
Very low power draw. And they're extremely safe. A lot of people aren't aware that this is a true catalytic heater. That means it is a catalytic process. Once this is running, there is no flame. This rug type thing that's on here is coated with platinum. And platinum reacts somehow, in a way I don't understand, with propane and produces heat. And it's flameless. There is no flame. Like Joe said, when you initially start it, there's a burn off and a flare, and then there's no more flame. It just glows a very pleasant orange.
Yeah, it's really nice. I couldn't be happier. The one thing that you have to make sure you do is keep it dust free. So that's why you have to have the cover on. If you're not using it, the cover should be on it. Because if dust gets in this, it ruins that reaction.
Right.
And I think you can replace that piece.
You can.
But I don't know how much it is. It might be, that's the most expensive part of the heater.
Right. When I lived in Alaska all my life, and I lived in a box fan for 6 years, and I had this heater and the small one, and I would during a normal summer day, the small one was all I needed because it would be in the 20s during the day, mid 20s, and then maybe the high teens or low teens at night. Well, the little one running, I ran it 24/7. I never turned it off. Was all I needed. It was really great, and I used them so much that I eventually did. The rug thing here went bad, and what you can do is you can actually send this whole thing back to Olympian, and they will rebuild it and send it back to you. They'll put a new rug in, and it'll be like new.
Yeah, because there's really no moving parts to wear out.
No.
I mean, so on a furnace, you've got all kinds of things that can go bad.
Yeah.
And
that's a steady, pleasant heat.
Yeah.
Your RV furnace will come on, you'll be too hot. It'll go off, you'll be too cold. It'll come on, and it goes back and forth. This being a steady, pleasant heat.
Yeah.
And if you start to get a little too warm, you could push it further away.
Yep.
And regulate it that way.
Or crack a window, open a window more.
Right.
I mean, you have to have ventilation.
You have to have ventilation.
But I've got a vent here and a vent in the back and a vent in the bathroom. I leave all of those open, and I usually will crack this window or a front window. So I get plenty of air movement coming through. And part of the reason for that is the condensation. If you close everything up too much, it becomes a rainforest in here.
Yeah.
It feels humid, and it just all the windows get full of water and moisture, and so I try to mitigate that as much as I can. And I'm still warm. I like that kind of mixture. I don't like to feel stuffy.
Let me just add that the physics of burning propane is that burning propane produces a lot of moisture, and that by cracking the vents, the moisture is going out and it's staying much better in here than it would.
Mm-hmm.
So that really kind of solves that problem. Ventilation is the key to the moisture problem with any propane appliance. So, in other words, you're just going to really recommend this thing and say this is the way to go.
Yep, 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10.
I don't know of any downsides other than you're using propane, and if something fell on it, you could start a fire.
Right. Yes, that is an issue. In fact, when I lived in Alaska and used these, twice I had a fire because something fell on it, and you have to give them clearances. This thing produces a lot of heat, and there has to be a clearance, front, sides, and above, not behind because all the heat goes forward. But you have to give it the clearances. So read your manual and give it the clearances it requires. That's critically important, life and death. But it's really a safe, easy, reliable source of heat.
Spend the extra money and avoid the... Because if you buy two Mr. Buddies, you've already paid for one of these.
You have, absolutely. And I know a lot of people who've bought 2 and more Mr. Buddies because they break. So yeah, and this is going to be burn less, and in the long run,
Burns
I
less
think
propane.
You'll save on propane. The difference in the price between one of these and the Mr. Buddy.
Yep.
So my recommendation to everyone is the Olympian. I think it's a far superior product. I believe it's safer. You can leave this on overnight. Do you leave it on overnight?
Sometimes.
Yeah, if it's really cold,
Yeah.
you don't want to wake up cold.
No.
Uh,
I'm out here to enjoy life and have a good life, like you always say. I'm not here to freeze or, be miserable. And I don't want to be, so.
right. Sounds like common sense to me.
Why be great?
Why be uncomfortable if you can buy one of these and be comfortable?
Yeah.
So I really recommend these in every way. I just think the Olympian is by far the superior product, and I believe even in the long run, it's cheaper. I think it's penny wise and dollar foolish to start off with a Mr. Buddy, because in the long run, this will be cheaper. I think that'll be true. Now, for a van, the Wave 3, the smallest one, is what you want. It will be plenty. It'll be nearly perfect. And for an RV, the big one is what you want. It will be nearly perfect.
Yep.
Well, Joe, thanks so much for sharing your experience with us. Folks, I hope that helps you and gives you an idea of how you can be very comfortable living the nomad life and yet at the same time be safe and reasonably inexpensive. And I think this is the answer to all of those questions. So I hope you enjoyed the video. You got something out of it. And if you did, then like us on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, and we'll talk to you later.